He's gonna be really nice.
I'm actually like shooting.
Start class.
Yeah?
We have an audience. We have an audience.
Listen, like this is legit.
Makes me wonder why we teach critical thinking and what.
I record everything.
Why are you doing it? This is all critical. This is an extension of what we teach in the class. So I totally get that. So what's the issue? What is it?
Doug and Kenny.
Okay.
Everybody here feels like they're wrongfully suspended.
Okay. That's duly noted, and that's who I was meeting. I've been meeting with both sets of families this morning.
Can I say something?
You've been heard. I think the message that you guys gave yesterday with your action in between first and second period, as well as what occurred yesterday behind closed doors with me in the district relative to getting my point of view heard in terms of how we should move forward with this. I think I'm finally being heard because I have a pretty reasonable voice. I'm all about restoration and not punishing. That's where I'm coming from. So I have a plan that I'm trying to enact, and that's I was about halfway through a conversation with a parent when I had to come out here and see what you guys do, which is fine, but they'll wait for me. So, but I just wanted to let you know that we are working on trying to work through this with the teacher as well as with the state president.
And will the suspension be erased from their records?
I have the authority to expunge records. Okay, what I need to do is have a process of renewal and reunification, really. And part of that is students, and every student needs to understand their part in any kind of, consternation that has been going on, and anything that's being said that's mean to each other, and how we've targeted any other individual, what we've, even with our silence, if we know somebody's being bullied or has something mean to them said, that nobody deserves that, right? So that's kind of what I think, and what we will do, we're starting it today at third period with the ASB leadership. And we'll have a circle of friends and just talk about relationships and what are appropriate things to be, how do we communicate with each other.
Will those students who've been suspended be part of that conversation?
No, they will eventually. So
Who is bullying who?
Well,
I think a lot of us have seen that there's many possibilities.
absolutely. There's both sides to relationships, there's both sides to conversations.
But only one
It
side
seems,
has been
it seems like, yeah.
Convergence of
What
two
you
issues
guys,
that are unrelated.
so you guys are upset that you see one person get suspended and you have to. I don't have anything to say to that except I'm not the person that was investigated.
I don't know if the issues are related or not, but there was a parent speaking on a school board meeting about one issue.
That was a different issue, but that kind of converged.
And then there's this election issue,
Yes.
right? And so I don't know if those are
Those
related
weren't,
or- I
those
don't know
weren't
if those are
necessarily
related or
the same.
unrelated.
Not really, but I think there's, the fact that, what are probably the issues that every high school faces in the United States. There's gender issues, people being treated unfairly, whatever you want to say on that side of it, and then there's bullying and harassing. I don't think any school is devoid of those kinds of
Yeah,
problems.
I agree.
So what we have to do is just say, hey, okay, given that we're one of those high schools in the United States that has common problems, how are we going to address it?
Right.
So that's kind of where I want to come from. And a lot of the stuff that came up as a result of conversations, I've not heard part of them in the investigation, and people have clearly said, this is what has happened to me, and this is what, and when we look at our Healthy Kids survey, students have expressed in the Healthy Kids, and our school site council has looked at that parents have questioned. It seems like an inordinate number of students say that they were harassed, bullied, whatever. My perception is, well, maybe that's happening outside of the school. I don't see it so much in the school, maybe I'm totally unaware of it. I totally get that we have once in a while I've had to deal with cyberbullying and that kind of stuff and inappropriate things being said. So and we try to address those as we come. So, okay, he and then you, Mary.
I want to know who's lying, because we've had different sources either say that our teachers were not suspended or fired. Other sources say that they were.
And you know okay, and I get it. The problem is there's nobody's lying. It just we can't say what is happening there. That's a personnel issue. You ask him if you want and see what he says.
But
And
then
then that
we
would be
can't
the-
say, so then say nothing. Why was the letter sent out saying nobody had been?
Yeah.
When then the next two people who spoke in the article, one being Kempiak himself,
Yeah.
saying, I was.
So
Well, and that has to be, listen,
That's
when
a
there's
hazy
emotions
issue.
emotions that happen in any kind of conversation, or what is said and what is heard are two different issues. And so what happens is a person has to just understand, you know, whether he's not supposed to talk about that, I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Why can't
And
he talk about his own suspension?
He can talk about his own, but does he
Yeah.
totally understand everything? He may not.
Okay, so he
That's what I'm
is
telling you.
free to talk about his suspension anytime he wants. You can't.
I can.
But he can't.
Oh yeah, he can. But
Okay.
he's got a lawyer that's advising him. He knows
Okay.
stuff, yeah.
The issue I
sorry.
have is I talked to the district office yesterday. They told me that he had been suspended,
Okay.
he had been put on leave, and then a letter came out to the parents saying he had not. So the issue I have is that the district is putting out information that is contradicting itself. The second thing is they're saying, you guys need to be quiet, you're fueling the fire, and yet the district puts out a letter saying their side of it,
Okay.
and they're saying, you guys can't say anything on social media or talk
Okay,
to the
we're
press,
trying to-
but then the district is allowed to
Well,
voice their
information
side to
is
But
everybody.
then people say you don't communicate, so we're trying to
Well, it's not
communicate.
fair.
Well, I think
It's
both
not
sides-
communicate.
I don't think the
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
should be told that they can't communicate.
Yeah.
If Haley can
Well, they can-
communicate,
well.
then everybody else can communicate
Okay.
freely too.
There you
Haley
go.
sent out
Absolutely.
a letter and put it
But
out.
what does that
to
help?
email.
Well,
But I think
we're
everybody
trying
has the same right. I don't think that's fair for the district to try and shut down these students.
Okay.
And
Well,
from
we're not
both
shutting them down. I'm just saying that we need.
Well,
we
you
have
brought
an
somebody
education.
in yesterday.
come
Somebody was brought in yesterday to have a discussion about suspension because they mentioned another student being
Okay.
suspended. So they can't talk about it, but Haley goes on email and
Well-
blasts out 1,000 parents and children and tells them
lies.
his story,
Why
but
is it-
nobody else can say theirs. That's not fair.
Why isn't he out there for you?
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're the principal and you're not involved in the
Investigation.
investigation.
I
I've been in the
guess
school system for years and I've never seen a principal not involved.
Well, I'm involved to a point. It's like, I don't know, the metaphor would be the FBI helping out the local sheriff. I don't know. There's a
So
point
you don't
where,
know why you're not involved either.
well, I could be involved and I could not be involved. It just depends. So,
They've eliminated.
Well, you're in a tough position, aren't you?
so I'm involved to the level that I want to be involved in it. Yeah. So,
So why isn't Dr. Haley or Dr. Sinner?
If he is the one involved, why isn't he out?
because all of you, there's a conflict of interest that he experienced.
There's a conflict of interest,
I
him
don't
sending
think
the
that's
superintendent assistant over here to talk about the kid's election because his kid's involved. That's a conflict of interest.
You
Well-
should have been handling it. He should have called you, not sent an assistant superintendent over here.
Good point.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's.
And actually, one comment.
Recommended at all, because he was the superintendent and got involved.
Well, the board is his employer.
In other words, we should be contacting the board.
The board is his, I mean, that's up to them, you know, they are the ones that's not at my level.
What would be the most constructive thing we could do right now?
Well, I think students should be involved in education. I think this has been so distracting. Let's move on a little bit. I am doing everything I can, like I explained earlier, for the students who are involved in this. I'm going to do everything I can to not only the students who were disciplined, but other students who are associated with them, to get them to understand one another, be better communicators, and work with each other, moving forward, supporting each other. I can take care of that piece. That's what we will do. We'll go through a good process with them. We will do likewise with teachers. I want to support them because I know they're all going through a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
I have one comment, one question. My comment is, while I can appreciate that the school district is trying to communicate with us now, it feels like retroactive communication. They haven't issued their it's because
so
Right,
a void
so-
gets filled with, I
Exactly.
think this
So
one,
the less
you know what,
communication, the more clear. My question is, you were saying that you have the right to extend suspension. Is there any